Retro Rewind.
This week we're popping champagne with Arthur, the story of a drunken billionaire charmer who must choose between his fortune and his true love. This 1981 comedy was directed by Steve Gordon and stars Dudley Moore, Liza Minnelli, and John Gielgud. Does this comedy classic still hold up as a hilarious and heartfelt exploration of love and privilege, or is it just a stodgy old party that stinks of cigars, whiskey, and regret? Let's find out. Retro Rewind.
Gary. Let me give some Rotten Tomatoes real quick.
Right.
Just so we have something to talk about. Rotten Tomatoes has this sitting at 86 with the critics and 77 on the popcorn-o-meter, as they call it now. So
the old popcorn-o-meter.
It's very well received. And I will say this, just to get out of the way, rightfully so, in my opinion. This movie, I loved it when I saw it back in the day. I laughed, I think, just as much the other night when I watched it, and I still, this movie to me holds up. Now I've got some critic reviews we can read that, yeah, some people did not see the humor in it, and I guess that gets to the whole where humor or comedy is almost like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder or of the watcher or the listener. So, but this one for me, maybe it's just because I'm childish, but I just think this movie's real. I think Dudley Moore was a true gem of an actor.
I would say we must have been about 11 or 12 when this movie came out. But what I was saying was I couldn't recall how I saw it. I know I didn't see it in a theater.
No,
pretty sure it was on cable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to always default to on TV because that's what we had at the time. But it may have been cable, maybe Time Warner cable.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall. I don't remember.
I just know when I saw it, I laughed and loved it.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I said when at that age, I thought this movie was hilarious. And two things happened on the rewatch. Number one, I was trying to show Tara the trailer for it just to give her an idea of what it was to see if she wanted to watch it with me.
Would the more attractive of you please step forward?
Gonna cost you $100.
Let's make it $200, but I will ask you to simonize my car.
How rich are you?
I wish I had a dime for every dime I have.
Anticipating your condition, I brought you orange juice, coffee, and aspirins. Or do you need to throw up?
Will you take my hand?
That would leave you with one.
And they have his laugh, his cackling laugh throughout the entire trailer. And she's like, I don't want to watch that. And I was like, I don't know that I want to watch it after the trailer because I was like, the laugh was just, it was too much. And it's a trailer from back in the time.
Yeah.
So when I watched it and it starts off with, him picking up a hooker and and he's drunk off his ass.
Yeah.
It was weird because I saw it through different eyes. And I thought two things. I was thinking, one, were my parents ever present when I was watching this movie? And did they ever consider what is he thinking when he's watching it at 12? True. And then second, I was like, I'm much older now and I've had life experience and I've seen people that have issues with alcoholism and stuff, and I think it just took on a whole new thing for me watching it this time.
Yeah. And
it took me a while to get past that to just enjoy the movie for what it was. So at the very beginning, I was kind of like, oh man, I don't even know if I want to watch it because I was struggling with that a lot. I know that sounds stupid. This is a comedy, but it was weird because I had all these things kind of go through my mind in the beginning with that. And it really threw me off because I'm like,
what do you mean, Gary? Did you lose your sense of humor somewhere?
I don't know. Really sad, but I ended up, kind of that sort of washed away after a while. And I did get myself back into, the 12-year-old watching that and just enjoying it for what it was.
Yeah.
But I was really considering, like, adults at that time, did they find this movie as funny as a younger crowd, and not 12, but I mean, like, teens and stuff. Were they the audience for this movie at the time?
Yeah.
I just wondered. It was just one of those things that came to mind because he's seriously got a problem.
Yeah, and this is it was rated PG.
Okay.
For those,
It's interesting. Now the story itself is it's a good story, and but that overlining layer of alcoholism is prevalent through the entire thing, and it's like,
Harry, stop being an adult.
I know that's the problem.
Like, this is very irresponsible of you, Arthur.
It maybe maybe not having kids, maybe that wouldn't have even come to mind. But having kids,
went from being in your watching experience when you're 12, you're more of the Arthur character, and as you get older, you're John Gielgud.
Exactly.
You're like Arthur. You're a spoiled little brat.
I'm Hobson.
Hobson.
I'm Hobson at this point.
I can't want to say Bitterman, but Bitterman's the driver.
So anyway, does it still hold up? I think it does to a degree in my eyes, but I just think that it's just not as funny as I remembered it from that time, but it more because of the way I viewed it. But
this is where you'd be wrong, but okay.
I'll take that.
No, I'm just kidding, man. Well, as I stated at the beginning, I still, and maybe it's because maybe I have such fond memories, and maybe deep down I'm still very childlike in certain aspects. I mean, the alcoholism, clearly. I mean, look, we know people in our lives that have serious problems with this. I mean, it's not funny, and nor is it a joke. But put that aside, this movie, it's pratfally, it's just slapsticky. It delivers everything for me. It delivers everything I want out of a comedy. Now, I know we have friends that will say, you didn't like Strange Brew, but you like this. Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's taste. It's to each their own. I expect some people to clap back at me on that one, Orion and Brent. But look, this movie has a soft spot for me. I think I also enjoyed Dudley Moore a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like a lot of actors and actresses will play drunk. I believed Dudley Moore was drunk. I don't know if he was or not. He just pulls it off very well.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I was reading a couple. Let me just read a couple of reviews for you. And again, this is where we talk about how sometimes critics take things way too serious.
Real quick, I don't want to forget this point.
Yeah,
when
go
you
ahead.
said something that made me think about it, and it made me realize that I think as a kid, you looked at Arthur as your spirit was Arthur as a kid watching the movie. He's just trying to have fun. Why are all these guys why are they trying to cramp his style, man? You know what I mean? And it was funny that as an adult watching it, it was more like he's got a serious problem. It's like looking at it like these adults are right. Like
he's wildly irresponsible.
Yeah. So anyway, that just came to mind when you were talking about, because I was thinking, I think as a kid you get in you automatically are drawn to Arthur because he's just having fun.
He's got a train set alarm clock. Come on,
how can you not like that?
Yeah, he wears a top hat in the bathtub.
Right.
Who hasn't done that twice? Right.
So anyway, you got some stuff to read, and I got a
a couple, just fun, And so there's a guy named Brian Eggert from something called Deep Focus Review, and this is his review of Arthur. Now I don't know when this review says it came in July of 2023, so not at the time. So it's in looking at it in 2023's eyes, apparently. And his review is this is comedic fantasy at its most deplorable. Never does anyone ask Arthur why he drinks, what's he running from, if anything, or worry that his enduring alcoholism will have a physical penalties in the years to come. He's a lot of fun at parties, guy, I'm sure.
That's somebody that's somebody that never saw it as a kid.
Jesus. From a guy named Scott Sublett from the Washington Blade. He says, all in all, Arthur is great. Steve Gordon writes funny lines like we have not heard from the screen since the 30s. I saw a few people comparing that to like that kind of a older film. I don't know. I can't speak to that, but if that's the way films were in the 30s, man, I'm gonna start doing some watching because I was just chuckling away, man.
The acting was probably a lot different.
Well, I mean, we, off camera we were talking, and you did the one line, Gary, where he says, where the guy says Arthur, or she says Arthur, take my hand, his fiance,
right?
And he says,
but I would only leave you with one.
It's funny. It's just observational funny.
Dude, I gotta tell, one of the scenes I really enjoyed that did bring back a lot of memory is there's this scene where he's in the apartment of Liza Minnelli's character.
I think I know where you're going. I actually wrote it down. If you're going,
and he breaks the little napkin holder.
Dude, I wrote it down.
And he sits there, and it's a good 2-3 minutes of him trying to put the damn thing back together.
Just a little long.
I mean, long enough to, and it's perfect. And finally he goes, "That's a goner." That one I laughed out loud at again because it's so well done. It's so funny, just him, Dudley Moore.
He plays it well. I mean,
Yeah.
again, he plays drunk wonderfully.
Yeah.
And again, I wrote down that whole scene where he's just he's perplexed about, and they cut to Liza Minnelli, who's just watching him. And she looks to her father, who's looking down on him, and he's like,
Right.
like, let him go. Maybe
I think he's got 2 pieces, and there's another piece.
third piece that's
They hand to. Oh, okay, that's the part I'm missing.
And the beauty is that
You need
it's
to
a
watch.
subtle thing. If you wait till later in the movie when they come back to the apartment, it's put back together.
Yeah.
It's on the shelf.
Right.
I wrote down also at the diner, later on in the diner. Again, spoilers if you haven't seen this movie.
It's from 1981, people.
You've had time. He asks, he comes in drunk and he's on his way to his wedding, and he asks Linda to marry him. This is just a line. I just laughed because the logistics of it just made me laugh. He says, "Will you marry me?" And she says, "Of course, but I have to change. I'm working, but I have to change." He goes, "I'll cover you."
Right.
So he steps behind. He's never worked a day in his life.
Right.
And surely not at a diner. And Gary, I don't know if you did you catch the guy who wanted his role, the older gentleman? Do you know who that is? Do you know why we know who that is? There's a reason I do, and I had to look it up because I was like, that guy's in my head, and I need to find out.
Tierney?
Yeah, Lawrence Tierney.
Okay. Is that Maura Tierney's dad?
Well, I didn't know that. That would be awesome if it was.
He's an actor that's been in a lot of stuff too, but I can't think of what.
Reservoir Dogs is where I know him from.
Okay.
He's the old guy when he says,
Right.
I'll cover the bill. You guys pay the tip. I don't tip. What do you mean you don't tip? That's Lawrence Tierney.
Okay.
But he's been in a lot of things. If you look at his catalog, you're like, oh my God, yeah, he's in this, he's in that. Yeah, and you know him. Yeah. The other thing I wrote down that maybe just really, again, this to me, I think it really lends to how good of an actor Dudley Moore really is. Besides the fact that he's a phenomenal piano player, which I'd forgotten.
Right. And he plays that piece in there, and you can tell he's playing that.
He's playing that piece.
Yeah.
After getting beat up at the church, right? He comes back out to it to make sure everybody knows that there's not going to be a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to straighten his tie. Now, his face is beat up, his clothes are ripped off, and he's like, oh. He turns around so they can't see him trying to fix his tie. And the fact that the littlest things, and again, I don't know if it's his affectations of the way he played the role or if that was direction, but I love those little things because he always knows you should be dressed proper.
Yeah.
Again, you just got your ass kicked, but hold on. That stuff made me laugh. And you can't let it pass. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the actors. If you are, I'll let you go ahead.
No, please do that because I'm going to tell you some interesting details and fun facts about the movie. So you cover real
that. Quick. I only have a couple that I wanted to mention. Real quick, Paul Gleason is in there, who we all know as the principal from the Breakfast Club.
That's right.
2 months.
That's right. He's in that office or whatever. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Paul Gleason. A lot of John Hughes films. Boom. Linda's father also. You see him bounce around, and I didn't get his name, but he's in a lot of John Hughes films, which I thought was fun. How you got Sir John Gielgud in this movie? Because he's phenomenal.
All right.
He plays this. Now, I have, I'll wait and see what you come up with. But there's some people that were supposed to be in this film. If you want to address that, I'll let you have that. I was in awe of some of the names that they wanted for this, and then I can't imagine,
Right.
some of the people.
Right.
I was trying to. I'm like, I don't know if you could have cast this film any better. Truly. Right. So I'll let you go from there. I just want to make sure we talk about. Oh, and I don't know if you know this. This thing was nominated for 4 Oscars. Did you know that?
I know of 2 of them because they won.
It was nominated for 4, but yes, it had 1 to 2, and you can go ahead and say the 2 that it won, and I'll let you. I'll cede the floor to you.
Well, first of all, I will tell you that Steve Gordon, who wrote and directed, this was the only film he ever directed.
Yes.
He says he tragically passed away in 1982 at the age of 44.
Well, that would be why in the catalog.
Yeah, so he initially envisioned Arthur as being an American, and as such, there were many actors that were thought of for the role, which is what you were alluding to. I don't know if it's the same list you've got. I've got Al Pacino.
Yes. Ooh-ah!
Jack Nicholson.
I'd only leave you with one hand.
John Travolta.
My head.
Only leave you with one hand.
I swear to God.
Richard Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss.
So let me. We're definitely gonna need a bigger bottle of scotch. That's for sure. Yes.
James Caan. I got nothing.
I don't have a Caan impersonation.
So when Dudley Moore got the role, even though it was going to be an American character, he thought that the accent, Dudley Moore's natural accent, added more charm to the character, and so he let him keep the accent, which I thought was interesting because there was a point in rewatching that I was like, everybody's
no one else has a British accent
except for Hobson, you know. So I mean, which is weird. So and then,
but did you see? I read a little hint that why someone put a little theory of why that Arthur has the British accent and no one else in his family does.
No,
Hobson raised him.
That's good.
And I'll you know what? I'll allow that.
Oh yeah, I'll take it. Similarly, the role of Hobson was also considered for Alec Guinness, who we know as Obi-Wan, among other many films, and this
isn't the bride you're looking.
He's a very celebrated actor with many credits, but Obi-Wan is the one that always sticks. And David Niven, which I could see that too, but I mean, but neither one of them would be as good as Gielgud was.
Gielgud was amazing.
Of course, you were mentioning the Oscars, so Arthur's theme, co-written by Christopher Cross and Burt Bacharach, won the Academy Award for the Best Original Song. Christopher Cross was originally going to be brought in to do the entire soundtrack for the film, but because of a lack of experience in doing that, they had Burt Bacharach come in due to his background with doing
amazing talent.
And so it ended up being kind of a co-write situation on the actual theme for the movie. Also, the other Academy Award was for John Gielgud for Best Supporting Actor.
Just amazing. Can we hang on for Christopher Cross for just a second?
Sure.
Think about this, Gary. I believe the year prior, Christopher Cross wins the Grammy for Sailing, or 2 years before, but right around that same time frame, he wins the Grammy for Sailing and Best New Artist.
Right.
And then he writes this earworm of a song, Between the Moon and New York City, and then wins an Oscar. That's how he starts his career.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then you look at where it went from there, and you're like, man, that guy just.
But he swung for the fences early.
Yeah. You got it all out of the way first.
I'm done with all my success.
On the, by the way, it was a commercial success. It grossed over $95 million domestically, which made it the fourth highest grossing film of 1981. On the different roles, Linda was
Lena.
like Deborah Winger reportedly turned down the role.
E.T.
Goldie Hawn, Diane Keaton, Gilda Radner, and Meryl Streep were also all considered for that part. That ultimately, Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
God, I don't know if those other actresses turned down the role or if they just.
I'm trying to envision.
I'm not sure.
Gilda, I don't see at all.
No.
Meryl, I maybe, but I can't see her. I don't know. Not at that time.
I could see Goldie Hawn or Diane Keaton.
I could definitely see Hawn and yeah, I could definitely see Keaton. Although Keaton, wasn't she just not coming off of, but relatively recently she'd just done like Godfather 1 and 2. So that'd be a different real swing of a role for her. But yeah, but Minnelli was fantastic.
Yeah.
She played it so well. And
yeah.
Huh, interesting.
So it received critical acclaim for its screenplay, memorable performances, and charming portrayal of a man torn between love and wealth. It did have a sequel that I do not recall. I am almost positive I've seen it, but it would have been way back when.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it, but I cannot even.
It would have been in 1988 that was released. And then I totally forgot that there was a remake with Russell Brand, which I've seen, and that is not a good sign that I saw it and I don't remember it.
I was going to ask. I had not seen it.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, I like Russell Brand. I think he's a good comedic actor also, but I just don't have any memory of the movie.
I'm going to endeavor to watch it. I was curious, though. I did read that in the sequel, Gielgud is in the sequel. Which, again, I'm assuming in flashbacks?
Or maybe that's a Alec Guinness Obi-Wan ghost situation.
Spoiler. Gary, you didn't seem to mention this, so I will.
Okay.
We're probably getting round and home and third and heading for home on this episode. There were also three Indian remakes of the Arthur story.
Wow.
For like Bollywood. I can't even.
None of them called Arthur.
Let's see. I will try.
One called Ramesh.
It says the 1984 Hindi language film Sharabi.
Okay.
The 1985 Kannada, not Canada. Don't get sassy with me. It's Kannada, Kannada language film Ni Vanda Kanik, and the 2004 Hindi version of the film Tumsa Nahin Deka, a love story.
Right. That was my favorite one of the three.
Arthur, and also a quick little note: the animated series The Critic, starring John Lovitz, had a parody of Arthur in it called Arthur 3: Revenge of the Liver.
Right. I think I did remember reading that.
I was acting.
Well, that's all the details I have. I know that you enjoyed this. For my part, I will say that it took me a beat to get back into the movie because of adult fighting its way in there. Once I got back to my childhood, I ended up enjoying the movie quite a bit.
I was in from the beginning when he first propositions the hookers.
It says, "Will the most attractive of the two of you step forward?"
I was like, I'm in, buddy.
All right. Well, that ought to do it for this episode. Please, everybody, like, comment, subscribe, and let us know in the comments if you've seen Arthur. And if you haven't, my gosh, I mean, it's 1981 film. By now, you should see it. Although
you're missing out.
Although, try to overlook the whole. Don't do like me. Try to overlook the whole alcoholism thing and just get into the fun. It's a comedy, for Pete's sake.
His laugh alone is infectious.
And Dudley Moore is just phenomenal. Anyway, we appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot, everybody. Say bye, Andy.
Goodbye.
would it hit their stride? We're talking about nostalgic flicks, and we're hoping to get some like button clicks. Flick flops, retro rewind, going back to a better time when the movies with your honey didn't cost so much damn money. Flick flops, retro rewind. How about you like and subscribe?
This has been a Touch of Madness production, brought to you by the creative minds at Tommy Twins Media.